Hey, welcome to another episode of the Gray Area Podcast. My name is TJ. Alongside, as always, is the Mchezo Bwana. Mchezo, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you
All
doing?
right. I'm good, man. Great weather today. Great weather. So, what we do on this podcast is we have thought-provoking conversations, 15 minutes long, and we call them conversation starters. And it's designed really for us to start the conversation on any particular topic and for you guys to continue. Please like and subscribe. Um, Obviously, comment on whatever the topic is, or bring up new topics that we might do in the future. But today's topic is, why is Joe Biden talking to Cardi B about issues in Black America instead of someone like Cornel West?
Cornel West. I never said Cornel West. You just added that. I don't think he
Yeah, I
should be
did.
adding. I don't think he should be talking to Cornel West.
Well, this is why I brought it up. So anyway, I think Cornel West is all right. He's definitely better than Cardi B. What do you think?
Nah, yeah, I think he's a step above Cardi B, but he's not the person that should be talking to Joe Biden. But definitely not Cardi B. Just because Cardi B isn't even black, so why would you talk to somebody who identifies as that's an immigrant that identifies as Latino about black issues? Why would you talk to a rapper about what needs to be done in the black community? An entertainer, a stripper, a person that admitted that she drugged men and robbed them. This is the type of person that Joe Biden feels comfortable talking to. The person that, and this is nothing against Cardi B, but I'm just saying, the person that made the song WAP promoting ratchet behavior. You know what I'm saying? So why are you talking to
Yeah.
her instead of people like Claud Anderson, Dr. Claud Anderson, who Kanye West was talking about, the author of Powernomics and other books, who actually has experience in politics, who actually knows and can identify some of the issues in black community. Somebody who actually identifies as black, somebody that's actually serious. So when Joe
Okay.
Biden talks to somebody like Cardi B, who's not black, and all the other things that I said before, I can say nothing against her, but it just shows that Joe Biden and the Democrats don't really take black people seriously, don't respect black people, and have no plans on doing anything for black people. What do you
Well, it
think?
does seem a lot like, yeah, it does seem a lot like pandering, doesn't it? You know, pandering to the black vote, right? Um, and it's kind of a slippery slope because we did have a conversation where, I said that if people in the NBA, the NFL, if they want to get out there and they want to make their opinions heard and their voices heard, they should be able to do that. But when you're a politician and you have all these choices, like the guy you mentioned, you could talk to Ta-Nehisi Coates, you could have talked to all these other people who are in the thick of it with politicians rather than a rapper. Like when I see you talking to a rapper, whether she's an immigrant or not, she's a person of color. She has the pulse of the youth, I guess.
But she's not
Um,
black.
I get that too.
So he wouldn't
Let's
he
just
wouldn't talk to me about Latino issues because I'm not a Latino. He
well
wouldn't
maybe
talk.
maybe he was just doing a person of color issue. But what I
He
think,
wasn't doing person of color. They were specifically talking about black stuff.
okay, so here's what I think is I think it is pandering. I think it's just a show. Again, yeah, you're right. Nothing against Cardi B. Maybe she has some good things to say. That's fine. But for you, when you have all these other choices and you pick Cardi B, it's obviously because you're trying to get some kind of young vote, try to seem hip and cool. To me, and I don't agree with it. You know what I
So
mean?
him being side by side with Cardi B, doesn't that kind of say that he co-signs her being a stripper and co-signs her all her behavior?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a stripper.
I'm
It
saying
doesn't
with
make you
all
less
her
of a
other
person.
behavior.
You know. Um, these are all things in the past. If there's somebody else that we agree with, we'd be like, the past is the past. So if you got to look at it right now, does it make her, still, let's take her past out of it. Is she qualified to be talking about these things? Maybe somewhat because she's a person of color, but actual black people,
Person of color is
and
different than black.
I get that.
We have
Okay,
different we
yeah,
have different experiences in this country.
I understand. Um,
So then let
I
me
mean,
ask you
I
this
really do.
then. What is pandering?
Pandering is just, or patronizing pandering is just kind of faking it, saying like,
Faking
or
what?
pandering is, patronizing is, but pandering is, just trying to get the black vote. For example, is an example of pandering is, just trying to get it for the vote. There's really nothing of substance there. And patronizing is pretty much the same thing. It's like they're trying to get the black vote by doing what's popular or saying things
and not actually doing
vote,
anything for black people,
and not actually correct.
Okay, so don't you find it odd? You say he's pandering, but you don't find it odd that you say he's pandering to get the black vote, but he's not talking to an actual black person.
I don't find it odd at all. It's been happening. It happens all the damn time.
And black people are up in arms and alarmed. Like this shows, like, and just how, like, I told you before, a lot of black people aren't worried about racism and this Black Lives Matter stuff. A lot of it is people are kind of faking it, and they're not really worried about it because why I know a lot of black people aren't really worried about it because they easily tricked into voting and they know they're not going to get nothing in return. And voting is so easy to do when you really think about it. It's it's really you just vote once, right? And
then
after that,
place, you make an X and you leave.
Right, and is your life supposed to change like overnight? Is it like winning the lottery? Honestly, because you really have to. Because really, they're saying just vote, and then we don't have to do anything else. Basically, I hear some people say hold them accountable, but that's just talking. They're not really gonna hold these people accountable.
I mean, well, you can't really. It's really hard to you can.
People hold them accountable.
It takes a lot more. It takes a lot more effort than what people typically put in.
No, it takes not watching TV, getting off your cell phone, and actually doing some action. It is a lot of effort for some people. All right, that's why we have the issues we have because some people aren't willing to do the things that need to be done in order to make positive change, and it's easier for them to sit down instead of actually get up and take action. And then they play a mind game on themselves and try to act like voting is going to be the end all be all.
And I get that, but it's an imperfect system. It really is. But it's better than most systems. Is that an excuse? No. Is that an excuse for people not to stand up and do something more substantial? No, it's not. But like you said, it takes a lot more, and it's really hard. It does take a lot more than what people are doing, and I think people will eventually get there. But I do also think a lot of people see Joe Biden as pandering. I do think they see him as someone who's just kind of trying to get the black vote, knowing he's not going to do anything about it.
Well, that's why I think a lot of black people are not going to show up this time too. I think it's going to be another backfire for the Democrats. Like I said, this is just my opinion, but everything I see, what I'm listening to, they are making an effort in the media to try to get black people out there to vote. They talk about Kamala Harris wearing Converse and Timberlands, really stuff of no substance, like you were saying, really material stuff, which a lower vibrational person would be into. Somebody with no depth would actually really worry about, and that says a lot. And it shows disrespect. And when somebody's disrespecting you, you don't know you're being disrespected, or you're allowed to be or you allow yourself to be disrespected, then they're going to continue to do it until you do something about it. And
it's kind of cringeworthy, just because she's rocking Timbs, right? So she's wearing Timberlands, and which is a very stereotypical thing. But she's going to get some votes because of that.
But isn't that sad?
It is, man. It's a stereotype, and hopefully most people, what they're doing is they're actually trying to listen to what they have to say. But just like what we're talking about right now, what people say and what they do, especially politicians, you can't listen to what they say. You can only look at track records.
Her track record isn't good, and neither is Joe Biden's when it comes to black people. But black people
when it comes to incarceration, especially.
Yeah, well, when it comes to, and so it just shows you that they playing the mind games with themselves and trying to bring other people down with them to even try to insinuate that Trump is racist, but they can't really say anything that Trump has done to just negatively affect black people in the ways that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have.
Well, it's really good that Trump hasn't done much. Like he hasn't done anything one way or the other. I mean, he's done a few things. A few things he did I liked. I'd have to look at the list of them, but there were a couple things I was like, all right, that's not too bad. I think one of them was letting a lot of people out of jail for certain offenses. I forget what it was. It was about last year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, like stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cool.
What do you think about his policy on immigrants?
I don't. America doesn't belong to people who were just born in America. America was always supposed to be a melting pot.
Okay. Well, you know what I heard. Go ahead.
We have a lot of people. I mean, 90% of America technically is an immigrant at some point in time, unless you were. Well, actually, most of America, unless you were Native American. I mean, it's a country full of immigrants. For us.
What's a Native American?
Native is someone who actually lives on a reservation. Probably not necessarily lives on a reservation, but someone who's yeah, that doesn't make sense. Indigenous.
Okay.
Who's here before everybody Europeans came.
Okay.
Those would be the first Americans. Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have to live on a reservation, but I was trying to make it real simple and racist as hell.
Okay. No big deal. No, not the first time, not the last time. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Dude, I try. Like, would you oversimplify it? Especially since
I was just asking a question. I was trying to get clarity on what you consider to be a Native American, because what do I consider to be a Native American? What I consider to be a Native American is people that we kind of designated as the quote unquote red man, or these fake $5 Indians. But the indigenous people were all kind of colors. Like I said before, there's proof that the indigenous people were from Africa. Some of them were from Polynesia, Asia, Australia. So, I mean, I guess about who's the first and who's indigenous are two different things. Like, who was here when the Europeans got here. A lot of it is when Europeans discover something. Is what we consider, you know what I'm saying? When we start counting.
Yeah, that's when it starts to exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, America didn't exist until someone just.
And so a European came, right? That's what I noticed, how we kind of grade things, but yeah,
like a white person figured out what the moon was. He's like, that's ours.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just don't. Me myself, I'm not voting. I just got a text today from somebody asking me to vote, and I text them back about some of the things that I wanted done, and actually started to think like, I told them they need to change some of these child support laws. And I started to think, like, I guess that's really one of the reasons I even do this show. Because they started taking money out of my check.
Right. And that's what people do. I'm just going to interject real quick, and I'll let you finish. And that's what people do. People vote based on what's affecting them. And people take action based on what's affecting them. So, like you said, you're kind of doing this show partly because it's really affecting you. It's affecting you negatively. And I guess you feel that it's unfair, correct?
Yeah, it is unfair. Okay. I can prove that. I mean, even, like I say, even the people at child support said it's unfair. But so I'm doing this to make extra income. So I have to pull myself up by my bootstraps, right? So unfortunately, whether stuff comes off offensive or not, I mean, hey, this is what has to be done in order to make some extra money. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I wouldn't even be doing this show now that I think about it if it wasn't for that. But hey, maybe it's a good thing. We'll take it as a positive thing that, Yeah,
take it as it comes, man. You would probably do it anyway, because you're working for yourself. We talked about the importance of working for yourself, making your own money, not having a boss. You would have figured it out eventually. Even if, you didn't have to pay child support, you would have done it.
Yeah, but it's kind of bitter to kind of have somebody take money out of your check when you didn't agree upon that, and is actually negative affecting other kids and families in this country. So, for somebody to ask me for their vote and they won't address that, or they'll make an excuse why they can't get it done and blame another party for why they can't get it done, which is what has happened when I reach out to some of these people. It's just like, okay, I told them, hey, I'm not going to vote unless you do this. And if you don't do this, I'm going to tell other people not to vote. I'm encouraging other people not to vote because I'm not getting anything out of it. Why would I want to help you get a paycheck if you're going to allow money to be taken out of my paycheck? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a slap on my face, and I'm going to slap you back 10 times harder.
I mean, I think a lot
of people, not literally,
Right. I think a lot of people are starting to get that way when it comes to, everybody talks about how they don't like the system and stuff like that. Now, especially now in the last 8 years, 5 years, whatever you want to say, like a lot of people are getting really discouraged by the system. On either side, if you have to pick sides, on either side. But the average American is, like, from what I can tell, really disillusioned.
I think so. especially white and black people. But you know who really isn't is the immigrants, because a lot of times they come from places where it's so bad that's why they won't, a lot of them won't really speak out against stuff because they like, hey, it's better than where I came from. Not all, but some. And
Right.
and that's why a lot of people are, I think, in my opinion, why you see a lot of these parties, especially the Democrats, are afraid if black people don't vote, then that might be a domino effect in where you will see other people decide not to vote, like other groups, because they're like, yeah, it's not working. Because you got to think, you got people on both sides, left and right, when you talk about white people that are out in these streets, you know, beating each other up.
They're out in any streets.
You know what I'm saying?
They're not out in any streets, man.
They are. I've seen it.
Well, a couple of them.
I've seen it. I've seen groups of conservative beating up left-wing people, and I've seen groups of left-wing people beating up conservatives. And this has been going on for a few months now, and both sides are...
Be like the guy in the car. Be like the guy in the car. Just grab your popcorn.
Grab my popcorn?
Just gonna grab my popcorn, yeah.
Well, he was delusional. Because, I mean, you said yourself, and you talked about the black immigrant dude who was saying that black people was going to get beat up by white people because white people are tired of it, and he going to grab his popcorn or even maybe jump in, right? You talk about that guy. Now, in your opinion, will white people let him go, or would they just consider him to be black and just start beating up on him as well?
Man, if he doesn't wear some kind of sign on his back, no one's going to be like, hey, you're that guy from the podcast who's on our side, right? Or you're the guy who made that video who's on our side, right? You're okay. We'll leave you alone. No.
Yeah, he going to be an N-word just like the rest of us.
No one's going to have, they're not going to go up and have a conversation like, what kind of black person are you?
Right. This is the delusion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, but
you know, as far
I'll let you get the last word, too, because it looks like we're out of time now, but go ahead. I'll let you get the last word.
Yeah, as far as Joe Biden and Cardi B, like, I understand what he's trying to do. It looks really very much like he's just trying to, placate and say, hey, look, I'm cool too, kind of deal. Yeah, there should have been somebody else he should have talked to. And admittedly, I did not watch the entire video and see what she had to say.
Neither did I.
Maybe she had some good points. I don't know. But you would just think, if you're a politician, you have a serious campaign, she wouldn't be the first person you would pick, is all I'm saying. So
why do you think he didn't pick any serious people for black people? Because I'm thinking,
no idea, man.
Well, I'm thinking he's not really serious. So in my opinion, he didn't pick a serious black person because he's not serious about doing anything for black people.
I mean, maybe.
All right, well,
I don't know, man.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll see. Unfortunately, it takes 4 years to find out if he gets elected.
Yeah, probably 2. Really, it only takes 2. After 2 years, we kind of understand what we got into. It's just like with Trump.